What about the regulatory framework? So regulators in the UK have taken this very seriously. How are we seeing that filter through to the Asia-Pacific region?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Nathan. I think the regulators have a massive and positive role to play in this sphere. So we've seen the regulators take a very concerted, focused lens to things like AML, anti-money laundering, sanctions, KYC, know your customer. And we're now seeing that same yardstick applied to cyber, aren't we? So here in our own backyard in Hong Kong, the HKMA have released their CFI, Cyber Fortification Initiative, which contains two key elements. The first one is the CRAF, or Cyber Risk Assessment Framework, that basically requires all authorised institutions to do two things. One, undertake an inherent risk assessment of the risk they feel they have in terms of cyber. And secondly, then, once they've done that risk assessment, to undertake a maturity assessment, to understand how mature are their controls, etc., when they look at their inherent risk. And then secondly, something they call the ICAST, which is basically a sophisticated, what you might call ethical hack against your own systems to see how vulnerable they are. Yeah. But this time a bit different, right? Sort of ethical hacking's been around for decades, but what the HKMA are doing, to their credit, is insisting that these ethical hacks are based on cyber threat scenarios that are specific to that organisation. So who would want to attack me? Why would they want to attack me? What pathways would they take? What vulnerabilities would they seek to exploit in my organisation? So specific to that organisation. And you mentioned the UK, so our British friends have been doing this for 5 or 6 years now. So I think this is a very good path the HKMA is going down indeed.
So the HKMA is not copying that model, they're sort of taking it and improving upon it, and localising it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And ultimately, a lot of these standards are that regulators adopt are based on commonalities globally, and why shouldn't they be?
Yeah. So let's ask the people in the room now. Now that you know what a cyber resilience assessment framework is, let's find out whether you have one. The 30 largest institutions, I believe, are...
That's right, so are currently undergoing phase 1 of the HKMA's CFR,
Yeah. I'm guessing we're going to get a no here. I'll throw 5 on it.
Would you really? Okay. Oh.
Well, I'm very happy to be proven absolutely wrong.
Yeah, you were a bit conservative with your 5% though, Nathan.
So that's a pretty, that is very encouraging, isn't it?
Well, possibly not, because this is a financial services conference, I presume, and a financial services organisation. So we saw the majority either don't have a risk assessment framework or don't know what one is, if I'm interpreting the results correctly. But, I would suggest probably most organisations would have a information security management system. Maybe they're just not calling it a risk assessment framework. There's many different terms, right? But they're often synonymous. So, the vast majority of organisations we see these days would have to have some sort of security policies and control in place.
Yeah. And reflects, I guess, the composition of the room too. If you're outside the 30 largest firms, you might be in the process of, putting that off for a little bit.
Quite possibly, quite possibly.